it's Heather, and today is a very good day for an adventure in gardening. There are times throughout the gardening year where I think to myself, man, it'd be really great if I had some help to get some of the work done around here. And then there are times that I think to myself, man, you know what would be really great is if I had maybe a couple hundred or 1,000 tiny little bloodthirsty assassins that would come in here and give me a hand and take care of all the bad bugs. That'd be great. You see, there's a secret war going on in the garden all the time. But it doesn't naturally happen that way. You have to work hard to get the bad bugs versus the good bugs. It's sort of, once it happens for you and you've got the good bugs coming to take care of the bad bugs, it's sort of like a Marvel movie, you know, but you gotta really just stop and watch and pay attention. And there have even been times where I've been like, ooh, and I have to look away because it gets pretty ugly out there. But they are my helpers in the garden. To make it work for you, you need all the players. You need diversity. And you gotta know what is your problem, who are the bugs that can, the good bugs that can take care of the problem, and what does that good bug need to complete its life cycle in your garden, on your property, to keep it going year after year. If your problem is aphids, then hey, ladybugs would be great. So you want to know, first of all, what does a ladybug larvae look like, or the ladybug before it's a beetle. You want to know what it looks like because you don't want to go squishing them, right? So you want to just know your problem, know the good bug, know the life cycle of the good bug, and the plants that are going to host the good bug. Or the host means that they're the plants that are going to help that bug complete its life cycle in your garden. So I'm going to tell you a little story about a very naive gardener. Once upon a time, a very long time ago, actually, it's been 19 years on the same property here, there was a gardener who had this image in her head that she was going to plant this wonderful vegetable garden and produce all this food for her family. And it was going to be glorious and easy because, you know, magazines and TV and they make it look really easy. So I planted foods that I knew would produce a lot of vegetables like green beans and zucchini, and I planted them all, and then I waited and waited for it all to happen. And instead, what did I get? I got Mexican bean beetles, I got cucumber beetles, I got the stink bugs, I got the squash vine borer that just decimated my zucchini plants, and basically it looked like a war that I lost outside. And it can be devastating to a new gardener to have these things come up, especially if you don't see the early signs because you haven't been through it before. And the garden did not produce much that year. So I did a lot of research over that winter and decided, okay, I know who the bad guys are because I met them. And so now I need the good guys to come in and help me to keep it under control, because the key is to keep it under control. When you invite the good bugs into your garden to take care of the bad bugs, there's a couple things that you need to keep in mind. Number one, 0 pesticides, 0 chemicals. You can't have it both ways. You need to let them do their job, and you want them to keep on coming back. And it's about checks and balances, not about you having this sterile, insect-free garden. You want to have that diversity, that little war going on all the time. And really, it can be very entertaining. So some of the good bugs that can come into your garden are going to be ladybugs, praying mantis, spiders. I have one of those love-hate relationships with spiders because I think they're trying to catch me in their web. Beneficial wasps are wonderful, and lacewings, and there's actually a whole list that you can look up online. So my most favorite and what I think are the most entertaining beneficial insects are praying mantis. I really enjoy having them in the garden. However, they don't know the difference between a cabbage moth worm and a monarch caterpillar. They just don't know. And so I can't not like them because of that. But if you go to the Adventures in Gardening Facebook page, you'll see videos and lots of pictures of monarch caterpillars and butterflies that I raise here in my sunroom. And it's because of the praying mantis, because they just don't know the difference between monarch caterpillars and cabbage moth worms. I wanted to take a minute to show you what the egg sac looks like. See that? That is the egg sac of a praying mantis. Now, all you mamas out there, if you find one of these and you think to yourself, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we took this in the house and the kids got to see the praying mantis hatch and come out? No, it wouldn't be fun at all. No, it wouldn't. Because what happens is they come out like an army. Lots and lots of them. So best to leave them outside and instead observe them in nature and enjoy them that way. So a healthy, thriving garden is going to require a few things from you. Number one, you're going to need patience. It takes time for these beneficial insects to find their way into your yard and garden. It does not happen that first year. So patience is number one. Number two is zero sprays and chemicals. And number three is flowers. We need to plant flowers. Flowers are like that flag on the ground saying, hey, land here, land here. And it can be as simple as letting the kale or the mustards go to seed, to planting annuals or your perennials, constantly having something blooming in the garden. Which takes me to today's calendar job. I mark my calendar at the beginning of every gardening year to tell me when it's time to do certain things based on when I did them last year. So I encourage you, as you do things this year, write them down so that next year you kind of already know what you're doing and you're getting into that groove. So my calendar says today that I am going to plant calendula. So before we head over to the potting bench, where I'm going to show you what the calendula seed looks like, which sounds like, why are you going to show us that? You'll see in just a minute. It's an odd looking little seed. I wanted to show you how I store my calendula, because calendula is a plant that is part of my homesteading circle, where I collect the seeds every year in the fall, and then I plant them in the spring, and then I harvest the flowers for tea. And I have let's see, I'm going to show you one of these flowers close up. Can you see that? Yeah, okay. So that's a dried calendula flower, and I keep them in this jar. This is just for tea. Kind of smells like raspberries. Calendula tea really does not have a flavor to it though, so you mix it with other herbs to give it a flavor. But calendula has medicinal benefits. Now, this would be a good time to talk about my disclaimer, because you need to do your own research for all the herbs that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to be talking about them all the time. And people will say to me, well, how did you learn about herbs? And the answer is, I learned about herbs one at a time. Basically, one herb a year I pick, and I learn about its uses and how to tincture it and make teas out of it and how to harvest it. So one herb at a time. So I encourage you to do the same. So you can look up calendula and see what its uses are for. But basically, calendula is an anti-inflammatory. It's good for any kind of skin rashes, for tissue repair, for your lymphatic system, to keep your lymphatic system kind of moving or cleaning it up. But you can look those things up. But one of the most important things for me that I use calendula for is I take my dried calendula flowers and I pour olive oil over top of them, and I'm hoping that I can somehow put a picture of what it looks like in here because it's really beautiful. And so I'm making a calendula oil that I use for skincare. And it feels and smells luxurious. It's a wonderful thing. It is part of my homesteading schedule every year. Now, if you ever want to feel rich, save your own seeds, because I always feel like, man, I'm so rich now. I got all these seeds. These are the calendula seeds that I saved from last year. Let's see if I can get them out. And the first time that I ever saved calendula seeds, I had to look it up to make sure that these were the seeds. They all look like a little C. See that? Let's see. Yeah. So my seed starting soil is already moistened. Yesterday I filled a bunch of different trays with soil, watered them, and then walked away. So they're all ready for me today. And all I'm going to do is take my odd-shaped little seeds. I hope you can see my hand's not in the way. And I'm just going to put one in each one of these little cells here. I only need 12 plants. Believe it or not, calendulas are very prolific. And you can harvest them from the time they start blooming until, man, I still had calendula through October, maybe even early November last year, because they really don't mind the cold weather too much. So I'm going to put the seeds on top of the soil, and then I'm going to take my little pointer thing, and I'm just going to put them under the soil level right there, and then cover it. And I'm going to do that to the rest of them, and then I'm going to use one of my clear domes over the top, and then put them on a heat mat until they have germinated or come through the soil, and then I'm going to put them outside in the greenhouse. Okay, here's another view for you. So there's my little C-shaped seed. I'm going to take my pointer tool, put it just below the soil surface, and then cover it on up. Tuck it in until it's ready to wake up. Hey, thanks for watching. And remember, every day is an adventure. Oh, and you should subscribe. That'd be great.